Tesla. There is nothing endowed with life from man who is enslaving the elements to the nimblest creature in all this world that does not sway in its turn. Whenever action is born from force, no matter how small it is, the cosmic balance is upset and the universal motion results. This is exactly the process that is explained in the theory called the quantum atom theory. In this particular theory, Newton's apple does not fall to the ground because of the downward force of gravity, but instead it is due to the upward momentum of electromagnetic radiation, or light. Gravity is not a real force at all. It is a secondary force to the electromagnetic force. Objects just reform to the greatest energy because it has the slowest rate of time, or the greatest time dilation. This can be seen in mathematics with both the gravitational force and the electromagnetic force, exemplifying the inverse square law. We have the inverse square law because the surface area of the light sphere increases with the square of the radius. Thus, the strength of the gravitational field is inversely proportional to the square of the distance from the source. There is no mysterious action at a distance. The gravitational field will work at the speed of light because it is an integral part of one universal process with the electromagnetic force. We have one universal process that begins with the quantum wave particle function or probability function of quantum mechanics, expanding out as an inverse sphere and ends with the inverse square law of gravity and Newton's third law of motion. To every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Gravity is the opposite reaction to the atoms radiating quantized spherical wavefronts of electromagnetic radiation. We have one interactive universal process continuously unfolding at the quantum level of atoms. We see and feel this process as time, as a physical process of continuous energy exchanging to the center of the earth. So gravity, how we see or objectify gravity, is the secondary effect of light expanding outward at a constant rate. So being that we are dense and mass, we receive the opposite effect of that. Time is formed by light-photon isolation. With light-photon isolation, objects form their own time by slowing up the rate that time flows relative to their energy and momentum. Gravity is not a real force at all. Objects just free fall towards the greatest energy because it has the greatest time dilation, or the slowest rate that time flows. In this theory, mass is a byproduct of time dilation. When time slows down, it takes more effect to move an object from A to B. This is seen as an increase in mass. Also, Einstein's equivalence principle between gravity and acceleration falls out of this theory, because energy from one momentum has to increase for an object to accelerate. Time dilation will increase relative to the acceleration. Therefore, we have the equivalence principle between gravity and acceleration. This will be felt as inertia in the direction of the acceleration. Therefore, we have Isaac Newton's first law of motion, which is, unless acted upon by a net unbalanced force, an object will maintain a constant velocity. This theory takes the dynamic interactive process of the general theory of relativity and extends it to our everyday lives, explaining a universe that is continuously coming into existence relative to the energy and momentum of our own actions. Every individual is a part of this interactive process. that forms the uncertainty and probability that is needed for this great game of life. But above all, this theory gives us the objective understanding of time and its process of continuous creation. Even a rose blooming will create its own pocket of time within its own reference frame. This fits in with the reality of our everyday life, with a past and potential future that we can interact with from the center of our own reference frame, turning the possible into actual. This can be in the form of a quantum wave particle produced by our own emotions, brain waves, and physical action. Therefore, even a dancer on a dance floor will interact with this process, forming their own future space-time relative to their energy and momentum. In this theory, creation is truly in the hands and eye of the beholder. Your actions have a consequence. You can manipulate a consequence by acknowledging the certainty of the consequence, and subconsciously go through the actions to make this inevitable, all the while not having a shred of doubt of its certain occurrence.
Take it back to 99, drip season, back to 05, drip season, back to 09, drip season, back to back, 99999. Champagne on my lips, Uzi full of clips, clothes full of drip, drip season. The fire in the range, targets on your name, shots to your frame, it's drip season. Nothing more precious, shopping through Paris, carats on my necklace, it's drip season.